Well, good morning to anybody who may be listening today. I feel like having a bit of a chat, and what better opportunity. I've lit my lamp for the first time for such a long time that the wick had dried out. It was quite hard to light. And everything needs maintenance, doesn't it? And I'm in a maintenance sort of mindset at the moment because I have no translation work. So my time has been freed up, which is good and challenging at the same time because I have to decide how to fill it. And I look around my house and it's in a bad state, I think. I see so many areas where it could be greatly improved and cleaned and organized. And I'm doing that gradually. I think they're good things. But it is also true that, when you do home improvements and everything, I'm thinking of painting this wall in a different color and building a couple of shelves so I can put my Kef chorale speakers on them. My original plan was to put the other Kef speakers. Can't remember what they're called, the floor standing ones, but I think I'll leave them in the living room, and I'll put the chorales in here and connect them up to my Leek Delta 70 amplifier that I bought online, and my Torrens turntable, and spin some actual records for kitchen listening. And really, the Kef chorale speakers, I think they're chorales, are more suitable because they're more in the right epoch, as it were, of hi-fi systems with the Leek and the turntable, whereas these other ones that I bought, these floor standing speakers, are not really, well, they're not very good speakers basically, but I think they'll improve now that when I put them on their plinths. But I still don't think they were very good speakers. Um, but it's a different sound. It's a modern sound, and so it's fine with the digital stuff. That's how I would see it. So, I've been reading the Bible as usual and getting into different points here and there. And lately I've been, looking at the whole matter of race. It's come up quite strongly because of my difference of opinion with my, I don't know whether you would say Canaanitish friend. I don't think that's quite right. I believe that the people of India are descended from Keturah. Was that her name? The third, um, not wife, but concubine, the second concubine of Abraham. I've read that recently, but I don't know who's who precisely. But, when I felt that, my race was being criticized by this fellow, it it rankled, and it's made me look, more closely. And of course, this stuff is being more widely discussed now for some reason, but probably because of President Trump in America seems to have allowed these kinds of discussions. We're able to say that we're proud of our race. We're white people, and why shouldn't we be? We have a great deal to be proud of, actually. I'm sure there are things where we should be hanging our heads, but I think they're far outweighed by positive matters. I remember when my wife was visiting with her equally radical feminist friend, um, And I said that I believed that the white race was the greatest race on earth in conversation. The shocked looks that they both gave me, both white, of course, they really couldn't muster a reply, because I also added, and I think I can prove it. Slightly boastful, I suppose, but if you look at achievements through history, I don't think it would be particularly hard if you value such things as architecture and music and all the rest of it, literature. Orderly society. So that's been, these things have been greatly on my mind. I think I've been somewhat deceived about some of these matters, or, misled, I think, perhaps. But I've experienced them all firsthand. So I can speak with some authority, or rather, I would be able to speak with some authority, except that I live in Great Britain and there's quite strong censorship here now, and I don't want to get into trouble with the thought police. I'm sure that I might be exaggerating that threat, but I do feel it. When you read, or apparently people being thrown into prison for absolutely non-crimes. They're actually called non-crime hate incidents. So it's unclear living here what you're allowed to say. I think our American brothers and sisters are relieved of that particular burden. And, we should be able to speak freely. I don't approve of, hateful speaking of other races at all. I've never engaged in it. But we have to have our wits about us, I think, at the moment. Everything that, all the laws that they seem to pass, which are ostensibly aimed at eliminating racial division and stamping out hatred. Well, you can't stamp out hatred, because stamping itself is an act of hatred. It's nonsensical. And everything that's done in this regard just seems to intensify the feelings of, I don't say hatred, but certainly division and the desire for separation among my brothers and sisters. And it's quite understandable, really, isn't it? When something is really rammed down your throat, after a while, you gag. It's all being done deliberately, of course, I know that. Interestingly, I was reading the Bible in Matthew this morning, and I was reading that famous verse in Matthew 15, I think it is, where verse 26, where Jesus says, it is not meet to take the children's bread and cast it to the dogs. And obviously that's a verse that it's quite powerful in its imagery, and it surprised me when I read it, and I'm sure it surprised other people when they read it for the first time. And I've spoken about it before, the referring to the Canaanitish people effectively as dogs. And the Italian Bible, which I wanted to check, I noticed that Diodati, the translator, has used the word cagnolini to translate dogs. Now, my understanding of Italian, I would say that cagnolini is, what do they call those words? It's slightly more similar to the word doggy, almost, in English, with this measure of affection. A cagnolino isn't a creature that would tear out your throat. It's a creature that you would like to pet. Whereas a cane is, a dog. Why didn't Diodati write the word cane if the Bible says dogs? Was he similarly sensitive to a lot of modern ministers and preachers who will approach that passage with the greatest circumspection, or certainly shrugs of shoulders? But it seems, I think I've spoken about it previously. I think I understand the basis for it. But it does raise some interesting questions, of course. And, it does seem to promote racial differences. That's in the New Testament, of course. I don't know whether Paul's letters or the experiences of related in the book of Acts, particularly, and the establishment of the church among the Gentiles, whether those things reverse these separation statements. I don't think they do. I don't see any reason to assume that. Things like racial intermarriage and stuff, for example, which was almost, I think, promoted by the church, was seen as a gesture of acceptance and love. The minute you speak against these things, or you even raise your eyebrows, in the church, they accuse people who do that of being hateful, and they call them racists, and they wash their hands of them. There's quite a sort of an imposition of a particular mindset. I'd like to see, of course, racial harmony across the entire world, and I'm sure that this will be achieved, but this must be it must occur. But it's in the hands of the Lord Jesus Christ, really, and our faithfulness. So it's very important that we do understand the words of the Bible. And I'm hardly saying that I do, but you know what I mean with that sort of stuff. So I'm going to go over to a nearby village now on the bus and pick up my weekly packet of tobacco, which I have anticipated actually, so I shouldn't really go. But it's just become a bit of a ritual. I like going over there, and I like doing a little bit of shopping and then walking back. There's quite a steep hill to get up to the bus stop, so I think it's good for me to get on my feet and get moving. My health hasn't been great lately. I'm not sure why it is. The only two things that I really know to do in those cases are to stop eating and to get back onto strict carnivore, which I'm tending to do. So that will cause health problems also in the transition. I'm not 100% yet, but I'm removing a lot of the stuff that had crept into my diet under the heading healing herbs. And healing herbs sometimes included a plate of spaghetti. But, you know, herbs, of course, are valuable for healing, and the Bible does say that. But I think carnivore is the way to get optimal health. I still think that despite the struggles that I've had with it over the past couple of years, I'm still, you know, essentially carnivore in my eating, but not strict. And I think you don't get the benefits until you absolutely bring your carbohydrate intake to very low and eliminate plants, which, you know, and because of their poisonous contents. If the body is healing, you don't want to be putting poisons in it. I guess that applies to tobacco also. So, you know, that might be the next step. The first one is coffee. I'm just, you know, unwilling to drink as much coffee as perhaps I should drink no coffee at all. But, you know, I've still got to enjoy my life, and I enjoy a cup of coffee from time to time. It's the same with alcohol also. I've, you know, almost eliminated my consumption of spirits, by which I do enjoy, but I just haven't had it lately, and I think I'll continue in that vein. So who knows? You know, I'm 71 now, and the trouble with being 71 and not feeling very well, you know, of course, when I was younger, if I didn't feel very well, I just assumed I'd get better. But now I'm wondering, well, you know, I'm getting up to a decent age. The average age of death is about 74, I read, for men. So that's quite nearby. And also, they send through funeral proposals once you go beyond a certain age. And I received one yesterday in the post inviting me to sign up to pay for my funeral and to choose it and all the rest of it. I don't know whether I was able to choose a casket in the leaflet. I don't think it was quite that direct, but they were certainly looking upon me as a, you know, a decent source of revenue in the not too distant future. Um, it's sobering, I guess. You know, I can't complain. I mean, it's just marketing, isn't it? All sorts of stuff comes through the letterbox, and of course they know how old you are. They want to sell me retirement home in Solihull also. Apparently they know how old I am, but they don't know how poor I am. God bless this morning.